Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. 99% of traders will never make consistent profits. So why listen to the 99% of advice? On this show, we're going to challenge some of the most hallowed and repeated tenets of trading, and in doing so, set you up to succeed where others fail. Spoiler alert, we don't have a secret strategy or magic wand that will let you skip out on the hard work of learning the markets, but we can debunk viewpoints that are holding you back. If that sounds good to you, come join us. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. Today we have something special for you. We're going to be doing some more interviews on the podcast coming up with different experts in the field, but we wanted to do something a little bit out of the ordinary today. We wanted to interview you, or at least somebody like you. We wanted to interview a trader who's maybe been trading for a little while but hasn't seen success yet. Maybe pick their brains, see what they've been doing so far, if they've made any changes from listening to the podcast, and then maybe find any problem areas they have and offer any advice that we can. We thought it'd be really illuminating and useful, so we asked Bob to come onto the podcast, and he was gracious enough to lend us his time. Bob reached out to us a few weeks back on social media, which we love, by the way. We recently started a Twitter account. Go check it out at Anarchy Trading. Anyway, we had a few conversations with him, and then we asked him to come onto the podcast to share his experience, and he was kind enough to do so. This interview will be split over two parts. In this episode, Bob shares his experience getting into trading, some changes he's already made to his trading plan after listening to the podcast, and we begin to dive into some problem solving with a specific issue he has with fear when he's in profit in his trading accounts. So these two episodes are a real gold mine. We think you'll see a lot of similarities with yourself and Bob. So hopefully these are a real big help to you. So without further ado, here's our interview with Bob. Bob, I really appreciate having you on. Thank you so much for having the the balls to hop onto the podcast. We really appreciate it. And how about you start? I guess 30 to 60 seconds, just a quick summary of you, how you got into trading, and kind of where your trading journey has taken you and where you are at the moment. And then we'll go from there.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for all the work that you guys do putting this out for free, because it's completely invaluable stuff I can't find anywhere else. But my journey started about 20 years ago. I was a nighttime truck driver, and I was going through the Bay Area. I live in Northern California, like northern next to Oregon. And
Gotcha.
I heard an interview about a doctor who was doing this thing about how can games help people with real life scenarios. And they talked about this thing called currency, and you could have a fake account for trading the Forex. And I had had a little bit of dabbling with commodities before that. And so once I learned you could see it all on your own home computer, I was hooked. From there, I bought a course or two that never approached psychology. It was always just how the markets move. And I can make money trading if it's just completely fake, nothing on the line, and as long as there's no recording of it. Because as soon as I do a account where like MT4 keeps a record, then I start wigging out a little bit. So,
yeah,
it's been a real growth thing because I love learning about psychology, and it's definitely, that's been my main focus of knowing why I've struggled for so long.
So that's obviously incredibly common, right? You can trade pretty well when it's paper trading, and then you start trading with the real money, and we've all been there, of course, and kind of everything falls apart. So one of my questions is, just off the front, is you've done this for a while. What part of your, I guess, what percentage of your day is done trading? Or you're mostly, I'm sure you have you have another job, and then you kind of dabble on the side. Is that correct?
Well, yes and no. The problem is that I've done it very consistently, where I watch the markets for an hour or two a day, and then I don't see the results I want. And so I kind of fall out of it for a month or two, and then I get back into it, and then I change indicators, I change layouts, I change time frames, I change who I'm watching on YouTube. And so I never have any consistency. So one of the things that has changed, especially since listening to your podcast, is that I am now only watching one I'm just watching gold right now. And I keep wanting to watch the others, but I'm not. The other thing too is, I've been a letter carrier for a lot of my life. And then about a year or two ago, I switched to another job at the post office where I'm a driver instructor, and I get off at the same time every day. So now I'm starting to structure my life where I'm not dabbling anymore. I'm coming home, and being Pacific daylight time, none of the markets really open up for the first couple hours I'm home. It's not till 5 or 7 at night that you start getting the liquidity and the movement. So I've kind of regimented myself from like 4 to 7:30 or 4 to 8 every night. I am watching this. I'm getting my 2,000 to 3,000 hours in over the next year or two. I'm not dragging this out anymore.
Let me ask you this then. What's you've said you've been, been dabbling in it for what? You said since 2000. I mean, goodness, Levi and I were barely, we were starting, we were still young. We weren't even in middle school yet. But what's kept you going after all these years? Like, what's kept you actually because I gotta admit, if I've been doing this for that long, I would have probably given up by now. So I'm really intrigued. What's kept you, dabbling in it or going after that long?
That is a really good question, and I don't know if I have the answer. A lot of self-improvement gurus say if usually your passion is along something along the lines of what you knew you wanted to do as a kid. And I know as a kid that I wanted. And I remember saying it to my mom, I want to control large sums of money. And this kind of fits that. And it's never been a question in my mind, no matter what the statistics say about only 1% of, traders ever make profit. It's never been a doubt in my mind that I am going to get there. I just have to figure it out. And every so often I get a piece of the puzzle that makes me know that I'm that much closer. You guys did a podcast on the whole goals thing, leading goals and trailing goals. And I know I've been through the weight loss thing with that, and it really clicked when you brought it into trading. And so that's another piece of the puzzle that is fitting very nicely into my making progress towards becoming consistently profitable in the real market.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Like when you really approach things from the process standpoint, I guess, like focusing on the process. And it's way, I mean, that's talked about a lot. Like, we're football fans, and you always hear coaches talking about, oh, trust the process. And so it's really talked about a lot, and I guess maybe overhyped, but at the end of the day, it really is a big one. I mean, this was a big one for me, which was, taking that focus off of profit is huge, especially when you're talking about people who already have an edge. Like you do have an edge, right? You have your edge. You can make money on paper trading. That means you have an edge.
Yes.
So you have the ability. So if you can shift that focus to the process and just hitting your goals, following your rules, if you can make it to there, then man, that I found with myself, it helps a lot to conquer the fear or the psychology's changed once you start playing with money, because nothing's changed. Your focus is still on just following your rules, just doing the right thing. And then, the money comes secondarily. Hey everyone, Levi here to quickly ask if you're finding value in the podcast. We would love it if you'd take a moment to follow the show and leave a review. It helps us out a lot and enables us to bring you the best possible content. Thanks for being part of the community. We love you guys.
And that's the paradigm shift that I'm struggling with right at this moment, because I'm still, you had some great advice on how to, keep a sticker board of, I followed this rule, I followed that rule. But it really clicked in the last couple of days what that means to not worry about the money. Because even though following the process is important, it was always the money that has been the scorecard that has told me if I followed the process. And that seems to not quite be totally true.
Yeah, so when it comes to the money, speaking of that, like right now, what are you doing to practice that part of it? Are you using a prop firm? Are you trading your own money and just doing really small amounts, or what are you doing, or what have you done in the past, and what are you currently doing?
Well, what I've done in the past is just simply paper trading through a demo account on a company here in the United States. My
Mhm.
problem with living in the States is that the brokers are so, I don't want to get political, but it feels like they're overregulated, which means our spreads are huge.
Sure.
Yep.
So lately I've been doing demo accounts through a prop firm. I actually took the challenge before they went to a unlimited time, and I have a retake waiting for me because I ended in profit, but I didn't reach their goal.
Awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, that felt like a win for sure.
That's huge.
But I'm thank you. But the latest thing that I'm doing is I've upped my game with my trading journal. I use Google Sheets because I can have a different sheet for each trade I do, and then I have it. I have a predefined layout where it's like, why did I take this? What were my emotions during it? And then what did I learn? And that seems to be the biggest thing for me right now, helping looking back and going, oh, look at this. I made the same mistake again and again.
Mm.
Or sometimes it's under what did I learn? And it's like, oh, this is a way to avoid, like yesterday I placed a trade and I walked away and did dishes. Was the smartest thing I think I could have done at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes
Nice.
walking away is the way to keep from. I had to do that when I take trades, especially when you're trading the shorter time frames, man. The tendency is to just it's to baby it and to you're constantly overthinking and you're constantly going, oh, should I take it out? Should I get out? Should I move my stop loss? Should I and one of the easiest things to do is just take it. All right, I put my stop loss there. I put my take profit there. Okay. Well, either I was correct or I was wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll lose my risk. If I was correct, I'll make it and then just leave it. I've had to do that before and it helped me in a way to kind of get my head on straight as far as the messing around too much with my stop loss. That's funny that you mentioned that. Journaling is a huge one that I don't think most people take advantage of correctly. So that's huge, man. That is going to make a big difference. Have you noticed a difference already doing that?
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, I've been playing at this for almost 20 years or pretty close to it. And I've
Yeah.
only been journaling the last 6 or 7, no, probably not that much. I have about a 70 trades journaled. So it hasn't been that long that I've been doing it. There's definitely been a progression in my, I don't want to say my bottom line because I'm not focusing on the money, but in
Sure.
my success.
What's been your biggest takeaway? Like you've been journaling 70 trades, you've been journaling for a while. Like what is the biggest takeaway you've learned so far now that you started journaling versus like when you weren't? Like what's one of your big things that it's shown you?
Well, about trade 20 or 30, I added the question, what were my emotions during this trade?
Mm-hmm.
And that made me really think, what are my emotions? And instead of just having them, I get to start questioning them. I get to start going, well, does it make sense to feel fear when the market does this? And I know logically the answer is no, but I have to write that a few times before
Hmm.
I feel that it's real that the answer is no. What Mark Douglas talks about, accepting the risk, you can say you accept it, but if I write in my journal that I felt fear or that I felt anxious, or basically if I felt anything, then I probably didn't really accept it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Because it's both sides of the coin. Like when you lose feeling that, that anxiety or that fear, but also on the other end, when you make it and you're, kind of get that exuberance, that elation, that happiness. Um, there is this there's an underlying problem when it comes to day trading, and that it goes after the inner gambler in us that you want that like that's kind of part of that's why it's part of the reason why some people do it, right? You go to the casino not necessarily to make money, but just because you might, right? And there's that excitement. There's all those emotions. And oftentimes it's the way to get past the gambler, because you start day trading as a gambler. Even if you're not a gambler, but you know what I mean, but you start with that mentality and the same kind of psychology of a gambler. And then to get past that, you have to get to a point where, you don't really feel as much, where the wins and the losses don't matter as much. Not that you don't still have emotions, but they don't matter as much because you're in this for the long haul, right? You're in this for the next 1,000 trades, the next 10,000 trades, not for this trade. It's an interesting take. I like that.
Well, one other thing, and I like exactly what you said, which kind of brings me to the other thing. If I go to the casino and I put a couple quarters in the slot machine and I win, I usually walk away. Mm-hmm. In trading, I've noticed that I trade better when I'm at a negative current balance. Once I start making a profit, I don't know what it is, but I don't continue to be. It's like I've got it and something makes me not keep it.
You know what that might be? Because like when you're negative, you might get into a bit of, do you ever feel like you get into a sort of a mindset of, I just don't care, right? I'm already down, might as well do it, right? Maybe it becomes more paper trading when you do that, right? Your emotions you allow your emotions to kind of leave, because you kind of, maybe sick and tired is the wrong phrase, but you're like, already down, doesn't matter. And so like that feeling of indifference maybe, but when you're winning, then that there's that fear of, oh no, I'm ahead, what if I screw it up? Maybe that's exactly. I don't know. Do you think there's some truth to that?
Oh, there's a lot of truth. I'm so scared of losing what I've made. No, wait, let me rephrase that. I am so scared of losing what the market has given me so far.
Yeah.
What kind of rules do you have in place to help with that? Like you mentioned, like once I start winning or whatever, I start losing. So like, have you put any rules in, like a max wins for the day or max win, or max loss for the day? Like what kind of rules do you have around that?
I definitely have. I will never lose more than twice in a day. I've never really worked to a max wins, because usually if I have a good trade, and most of my wins are going to be fairly big, like at least equal to what I've risked. I know, and there's such a range for different people what their reward to risk ratio is.
Yep.
And I've played with that some, but if it's like if I win $10, I'm good. I can keep trading. But if I've won like 400 on a $50,000 demo account, that's when I don't trade a second time usually.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because what I've noticed is a lot of times a lot of people need to have a max win for the day as well, because as you mentioned, you'll actually notice you start trading worse as you win more for the day. So like if I hit 1% up on the day, like I just quit trading, right? Because I've noticed through journaling that once I'm up 1%, I never seem to go up more. Like I'll just end up taking bad trades and I just go down. So like at the end of my day, I've noticed that. So I just stop. So I hit 1% for the day. I'm done. Don't know if that's the same for everyone. It just worked for me, and that's kind of what I've discovered. So it sounds like kind of maybe what you're saying is, I win one, and then if I keep trading, I can lose it. So it might be worth considering, having a max profit target where it's like, if I hit my first trade for the day, I'm done, something like that. Or what I did is if I win my first trade of the day, which goes, essentially I risk 0.5%, win 1%. What I'll do is my second trade, I'll then only risk 0.5%. And if I win that, then I'm still done for the day. I'm up, let's say 1.5%. But if I lose it, I don't lose all of my wins for the day. So I still keep that 0.5%, which helps keep the psychology going, right? So you're not having a losing day. But that's kind of something that I did personally that really helped with my psychology from the winning perspective, to keep me from either blowing all of it, and also kind of keeping in a good spot.